What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the Adam Westberg Vibes YT, back with another video. You guys are now loved ones in 2022. What goes around comes around. You spread your love. You spread your love. You get love. Don't spread COVID. Keep your masks on if they tell you to. And you already know, Mountain Dew, please sponsor us. It's not gonna happen today, but what? Correct. Hopefully someday. I actually got Fortnite working. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite on my Nintendo Switch. I've actually been having a lot of fun on it. Videos are probably coming out soon. Also, if I may let you guys know about something, yes, like I said in a short video, Wednesdays and Fridays, 8 p.m. Fridays, it's 8 p.m. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Friday is horror reaction videos. Wednesdays, it's going to be 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is currently 11:53. I had to go do something. That's why I'm a little late tonight, but it's fine. We're here. So yeah, reaction videos, Wednesdays and Fridays, different times. Again, Friday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Wednesdays, reaction videos, horror reaction videos, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that being said, let's get into today's first episode. This is 3 true internet friend horror stories animated. Let's pop in.
I grew up with parents who were reasonable, loving people, but who were also more than a little paranoid when it came to the internet. Anything that allowed anonymous communication in any form was banned, point blank, from the household. Even Club Penguin wasn't allowed because you could chat in it. Naturally, when I got my first laptop at 12, it was a piece of crap, gotten only because of all my homework that year was online. The first thing I did was start trying to talk to people online. I wasn't going in chat rooms or anything, because my parents' warnings still resonated with me, but I wasn't avoiding contact either. I ended up making a DeviantArt account. I know, cringe, where I didn't do much posting, as I lack artistic talent. In spite of this, however, I was contacted via private message by a guy who I'll call Joker, because his profile picture was of the Joker. That should have been a warning sign in and of itself, honestly. Joker just started talking to me out of the blue. I think I'd commented on one of his pieces or something, and he reached out to me to thank me for my kind words. We started talking. It turned out we had a lot of common interests. We played some of the same games, liked some of the same cartoons, etc. He seemed like a really, really nice guy. I think it was maybe a week or two, and that the first uncomfortable thing happened, even if I didn't exactly think much of it at the time. The two of us shared a somewhat misanthropic view of the world, so there were a lot of dark jokes passed back and forth between us. Sometime about a week after we first started messaging, he casually mentions thinking that the world will be better off without him. I sent him a sad face and assured him that it wouldn't, as I quite liked talking to him. He didn't say anything more about it then, so I assumed that was it. It wasn't. Joker talked about suicide a lot. His talking about it quickly morphed from passing commentary to long, graphic rants about how much he hated himself and wanted to die, and what method would be best for him to do so. I spent hours talking him down over chat, terrified that one day I wouldn't be able to do enough, and he'd actually do it. His messages started to get creepy in a different way. He started telling me how grateful he was to have me, how no one had ever cared about him as much as I did, how important I was to him, how he couldn't live without me, how he'd just die if he would ever lose me. He was obsessed.
Okay, obsession is...
Well, one day, a couple months in, my laptop breaks. It wasn't too bad. but it still took a couple of days before everything was back in working order. I logged back into DeviantArt to find dozens of messages, all from Joker. They started off normal enough, but quickly became frantic after I didn't respond. The last message he had sent was along the lines of, "I can't take this anymore," followed by a link to a picture image. The image was a pair of slit wrists. The cuts were deep and fairly fresh looking too, with red inflamed edges and the beginnings of an ugly scabbing just beginning to settle over the top. I was horrified. I quickly messaged him back, terrified I'd just lost a friend, and he responded. "I thought I'd lost you," he said. "I thought you'd left me. I couldn't handle the pain without you. Don't ever do that to me again." I said I wouldn't, and he seemed relieved. He only got worse from then on. It reached a point where practically our every conversation consisted of him either professing his obsession with me, threatening suicide, or both. The stress was keeping me up at night. I was terrified that one day soon I'd open up the chat and see nothing. I was utterly convinced it was my job to keep this guy alive, and that I was failing miserably at it. Joker kept escalating, until one day, nearly a year in, he finally said something that frightened me so badly I had to leave. Joker started talking about how I was the last good person left on this miserable planet, and stuff like that. He waxed poetic about how much he wanted to kill himself, and said that he'd finally found a way to truly be happy. He said the only way he'd ever be able to find happiness was in killing himself and taking me with him. That way, we would always be together, free from the cruel weight of the world. He started going into very detailed, very graphic descriptions of how he'd kill me. A lot of them involved carving out my heart, then clutching it to his chest and laying beside me as he took his own life too. I was terrified, enough so that I did what I should have done a long time ago and deleted that account. For years following that incident, I never spoke to anyone online. Even to this day, actually, there's still a lingering sense of dread when it comes to online interaction. So, to the boy who I thought was my first internet friend, I don't know what your deal was, whether you were mentally ill or purposely malicious, or some combination of the two. But whatever the case may have been, let's not meet. When I was in 8th to 10th grade, I was extremely involved in this small building server. The average age was probably 15 to 17, and I joined a group of builders and Skyped with them every weekend for hours. We all became close fast and trusted each other enough that we followed each other on Instagram. I became particularly close with one of the builders in my friend group named Peter. Peter was in the same grade as me, and we ended up texting quite a lot. I heard rumors that Peter might have a crush on me. He denied them, which I found laughable because it was the internet, and brushed it off. Everything was fine for a while until something began to feel off when I talked to him. I was starting to constantly catch him telling small lies. This bothered me, so I figured it was time to distance myself from Peter and stop talking to him. Cut to a few months later of no contact, and Peter out of the blue texts me that he is going to be possibly transferring to my high school so he can get in-state tuition for college. Peter's plan is to somehow live completely alone and support himself while in high school. My stomach drops when I read the text, and I know this feels very, very off. I try to be calm, and I tell him that his plan is crazy. I tell him that it's oddly convenient that he chose my random suburb. Peter insists that his plan will work, and it's just a coincidence that he is going to my high school. I'm trying to call Peter's bluff and hoping he is just screwing with me because I cut him off. Peter says he bought the plane tickets already, and he is going to stay in my town and to visit some high school in the area. Fear washes over me, and I realize Peter definitely has some very unhealthy attachment to me. I thought my rejection for this meetup and continued no contact would be the end of it, but about 2 years later, and I just committed to my dream college, I still, stupidly, followed Peter on social media because I wanted some warning if he came to my area. Once again, Peter did. I see him posing in front of the library at my college with a caption saying, "Transferring here is definitely the move." Cut to a few months later, Peter finds out I had a boyfriend and directly contacts me for the first time in 2 years. He starts asking strange questions like, "Will he protect you?" I shouldn't have answered, but for some reason I did. I finally blocked him and stopped following him on social media out of fear. He has not tried to contact me since. Definitely made some mistakes because I was young and scared and had others telling me it was not a big deal. So Peter, let's not meet. Ready to mingle. I was studying at a school about 28 minutes away from my house. And, of course, I was on Tinder. Now, I have dated some older men. I'm attracted to them. So my setting on Tinder for males was always ages 25 to 40. I swiped right on a guy who looked decent enough, and he was 36. We match, and he begins to message me. We go through a day or two of messaging. I explain that I'm really just looking for a fuck buddy, and he had his own apartment, about a 2-minute walk from my school. Perfect. We add each other on Snapchat and Insta, and once he takes a look through all my pictures, his way of messaging becomes strange. He starts to message me stuff on Snapchat like, "You're so beautiful, I want to hold you in my arms. You're like an angel." Now, mind you, we have never met. Once he starts messaging me like this, I realize that he's not my type, especially in a FWB situation. I don't need someone like that. I start to leave him on read, and I ignore his messages. The next weekend, I was going to a wedding. I was all dressed up, and of course, I posted a few pictures to my story, which he immediately started commenting on like, "OMG, you're beautiful. I miss your touch. I want to feel you in my arms." I ignore him and have a good time at the wedding, and right before the wedding started, I popped an edible. By the time I got home, it was midnight, and I was very, very high and very sleepy. I had worked earlier that day and hadn't napped in between. I get into bed and start to go through my phone. I live with my family, and everyone was asleep. I start getting messages from this guy again, and I'm so high and tired that I start reading them, giving brief responses saying, "Aw, thanks." Then he messaged me saying, "I think I'm gonna come to tonight." I respond by saying, "LOL, that's weird, don't do that," obviously thinking that he is joking. Then he says, "I want to breathe the same air as you. I want to feel you. I want to breathe with you." I begin to freak out, and then he starts messaging me, "Be there soon, babe." I'm like super scared now because I live with my family and I didn't want anything weird happening. Then all of a sudden, I remember that my Snap Map location is on. I go into my map and I see my little Bitmoji in her cute outfit sitting at my house. I quickly turn myself onto ghost mode, then I see his little Bitmoji, and it's getting closer and closer to my city. I somehow convince myself that he's joking. He's probably on his way to another city near mine, but he's getting closer and closer. It's 1:30 in the morning now. For the first time in years, I begin to pray. 10 minutes later, I check the Snap Map again. Now, even if you are in ghost mode, you can see if you are sharing locations with someone, although the other person can't. When I looked at my map, I was sharing location with him. He was right outside my house. I looked out my window, and there was a car with its lights on. At this point, I am so freaked out. My heart is inside my throat, my anxiety is through the roof, and I'm still high. I end up passing out and then falling asleep. I wake up in the morning, scared. I check my phone. He had sent a few messages saying, "You have a beautiful street, baby. A beautiful home. Have a good night, baby." I go into my mom's room to ensure that nothing had happened, and she was fine. I later went to work, and after work I went to the police station and spoke to them. They said they couldn't do anything unless he tried to come over again, and that's when I would call the police. I went home, and for a few days I got no messages, and then at 5 a.m. on the following Tuesday I got a message. "Even though I drove all the way to your home to breathe the same air as you, you still have not messaged me. I am not as desperate as I seem. If you ever want this dick up into the balls, let me know. Since then, I've heard from him once or twice, but I eventually blocked him. I didn't block him from the start because he knew where my house was. I was scared that if he couldn't get a hold of me, he would show up. So, creepy asshole who showed up at my house in the middle of the night, let's not meet.
Thank you so much for watching this horror reaction video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy, because you will not see, well, you might see in other places, but, you know, let's hope you don't, because if you enjoy this content, please like, comment, and subscribe, and enjoy for more. Because I love all of you guys, and I just want to make sure everyone stays safe. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye! Also, sorry, it's very hot in my room. That's why I have my fan on. If that's what you hear in the